I don't know about you, but I feel like time is absolutely flying by this year. We are already almost midway through August, and that means it is time to start thinking about fall knitting plans. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree, I live in Nevada, and on this channel I love to talk about all things knit and crochet. In this video, I have curated a pattern roundup of 10 sweaters perfect for knitting this fall. I have also done my best to include a wide variety of designers and make sure that each pattern is size inclusive. All of these patterns are created in a bundle in my Ravelry, which I will link down below. And otherwise, let's just get started with talking about sweaters. If you see me looking over in this general direction, I have my notes right here, and I just want to make sure that I get all of the information right about the sweaters, so bear with me if I have to keep checking my notes. But first things first, I am going to go over the Biela sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl. So this one is cool to me because it is customizable, where you can either make it a sweater or a more fitted long sleeve shirt. So it is a top-down raglan design, and it has 2x2 rib entirely through the entire sweater, the body and the arms and the yoke. It can be made either close fitting, because when you work the decreases in the arms, there's direction to have either neutral ease or negative ease. So if you wanted a actual sweater, you would do neutral ease and it would still be closer fitting. But if you wanted it to kind of, hug your skin, you would do a negative ease. And there's direction for both, which is super cool. I also love how it has a turtleneck, but because it is a thinner knit, it's not too bulky and it doesn't feel like a lot of fabric on your neck. It is knit on DK weight yarn on 4mm and 3.5mm needles. And I think this would be a great sweater for the fall months where it's not too cold yet, but you still want that long sleeve shirt, I guess. I think it would be a great layering piece. So the next sweater that I loved when I was looking for this pattern was the Lakes Pullover by Haley Smedley of Ozetta. This is a saddle shoulder design, and I think that the saddle shoulder is really the spotlight of this pattern. Saddle shoulders are so in right now, and I love them. I think they're so cute. I just knit a tee with a saddle shoulder design, and it was so fun to knit because you're constantly doing something. You're not just working long periods in stockinette back and forth where you're having to do a ton of purls. You're doing little pieces and connecting them together and constructing it, and it's really fun and it keeps your interest peaked. So there's the saddle shoulder, and then there's also short row shaping to make it more feminine looking and kind of soften the shape of the shoulders. And then there is a long folded rib neckline, which I think is the perfect balance to this otherwise pretty simple design. There's also long ribbing in the arms and then at the bottom of the sweater. So I think if you are a beginner, this would be a great sweater pattern for your first, I guess, not raglan. Like, I wouldn't call it a, yeah, I guess it would kind of be a drop shoulder, but saddle shoulder, it's different. This would be a great beginner pattern, in my opinion, if you are a confident beginner wanting to take on a sweater that is not a raglan design. It is knit on worsted weight yarn. I believe I said 5mm and 3.75mm needles, and that is the Lakes Pullover by Haley Smedley. I think this one would look so pretty in the gray as it's shown, but also in like a cream or a black, just a basic staple sweater for your wardrobe. Next, we have the Natalie sweater by Valentina Bogdanova. This is a seamless top-down sweater, and there's increase and decrease shaping and cabling all throughout the yoke. This one, I'm so tempted to knit it because the cabling is so subtle and it's only through the yoke, but it looks like it's shaped just with increases and decreases and maybe a cable needle. I think it's so pretty, but the really cool thing about this pattern is that the body is worked on the wrong side. So the actual body part that is showing is reverse stockinette. And it sounds kind of weird, but it flows so well with the intricate cable detailing at the top. It looks so good. And then the bottom ribbing as well. It looks like it has some normal bottom ribbing, but then also slip stitch detailing. This one, I'm all of these I am so tempted to knit, but this one looks so fun just because I own one sweater that is reverse stockinette for the body, but I think this one would be super cool too. It is knit with DK and lace on 2.5 and 3.5 millimeter needles. So it would definitely be more of a project where you're working a lot of stockinette on a finer needle and finer yarn. But I still think if you're up for the knit and you like a lot of just plain stockinette knitting, this would be beautiful. Next up is the Agnes sweater by Cookie the Knitter. So this sweater is a drop down or drop shoulder top down sweater, and it is knit as most drop shoulder sweaters are, beginning with the back yoke, picking up stitches on the shoulders, working the front yoke, and then joining in the round. It has an intricate chunky texture, which is very fun, and then the lines that are framing the seams. So this sweater will be fun if you're looking for a textured knit with, trying new techniques. It has brioche stitch as well as double knitting. So if you're looking to try something new and are interested in trying either of those stitches, this would be a great sweater because that chunky texture is going to keep you so warm in the winter, and it's probably going to be very fun to knit. Is a lace plus DK held together, knit on 5 millimeter and 4 millimeter needles. And yeah, I think the cream sweater in this texture, or just any like solid cream gray, I think like a charcoal gray too, would all look really good in this design. So that is the Agnes sweater by Cookie the Knitter. We are now joined by Sourdough, who I had to let into the room because he was outside making a ton of noise. But let's get into the next pattern. Next, we have the Thea sweater by Cookie the Knitter. It is a top-down raglan that is begun by working a mock neckband, and then you work short row shaping in the yoke while working your raglan increases. I think this is such a good idea for raglan designs if you want to be size inclusive. Adding that shaping is going to make sure that the increases fit with each body type. Obviously, you cannot not make a perfect design for every single body, but I feel like this short row shaping is going to really help with the size inclusivity of this pattern. The body is plain stockinette, but there are stripes to keep things interesting while you knit it, and the stripes are very intentionally placed, and it looks very methodical with the ratio of stripe color to main color. You also obviously can skip the stripes and just optionally do one main color, and it is knit on DK lace plus lace held together, so a bulky weight yarn. So even if you didn't do the stripes, the plain stockinette would probably go by pretty quick. It is knit on 7, 6, and 5 millimeter needles. So this would be a great quick, if you will, sweater if you want stripes or no stripes. Next, we have the Crescendo sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl. This one is a top-down raglan again with a folded over neckline, and obviously the spotlight of this pattern is the lace work. So it has a lacework yoke that is used to create a diamond motif. I'm going to read directly. It says it's described as a modern yet feminine and very fun to knit. The pattern includes a chart for the lacework and a lot of technical guidance. So the Knit Pearl Girl says it is a great pattern if you want to try lacework for the first time. I am highly considering making this pattern. I have not done lacework, and I think based on the description on Ravelry, it would be a great place to start. The motif is perfect. It's not too elegant, but it still adds enough to the sweater that you can have that beautiful lacework, I don't know, touch, if you will. And then also super cool bonus points. She wrote in her description, please note that there are 2 pattern PDFs in this listing as well as a downloadable knitting chart. The first file is standard formatting, suitable for printing, And the second has been formatted for dyslexia friendly by a graphic designer familiar with accessibility in writing. Very cool. You don't see a lot of dyslexia friendly patterns, and that deserves huge bonus points. This is knit with lace and aran held together on 7 and 6 millimeter needles. Yeah, this is in my top two runner up for patterns that I'm going to be casting on this month. Next, we have the Twist Loop Sweater by Other Loops. This is another raglan sweater. It is ribbed and worked from the top down, and this one is so elegant yet simple. The cable detail down the center, it flows perfectly with the ribbing throughout the entirety of the piece, and it kind of, the ribbing balances the dramatic center cable. So there is, the spotlight. I keep saying spotlight. I'm sorry. I can't think of another word. The highlight is the cable, but the ribbing really just, it makes it look like it's just part of the ribbing twisted together, which it is. Essentially, cables are just moving your stitches around, but it looks so balanced. It's just very balanced. There are also thoughtful decreases on the sleeves, and it is worked with a lace plus fingering held together on 4 millimeter and 4.5 millimeter needles. This one also has a similar tank where it's the same exact design just without the sleeves. So if you like this design but aren't sure if you want to commit to the full sweater, there's a tank, which is bonus points. Next up, we have the Edgar sweater by Johanna Jerish. I tried practicing saying her name, and we're we're struggling. Johanna Jerish. Please correct me if you know how to pronounce this designer's name, because I would love to obviously say her name right. But it is the Edgar sweater. We have yet another top-down raglan design, which I know there's a lot, but I think every single raglan sweater I have mentioned here has something unique to offer. This one, the neckline is worked back and forth in the round, or in rows rather than in the round, and then you connect in the round, shape with raglan increases, and you do a twisted rib pattern along with the raglan increases. And she says that the twisted ribbing is strategically worked throughout the body and arms in a very decorative way. And then the split hem bottom is also worked in twisted rib. So I think the twisted rib is so perfectly placed. I mean, she obviously indicated that it was strategically placed, and it looks so good with the increasing, and it's shaped all throughout the body in thoughtful placements. This one would be so good to keep your interest peaked throughout the entirety of the sweater, because you're never just working long periods of stockinette. I know a lot of people are love that part of the sweater, and a lot of us get pretty bored. So I'm this one I think it's going to be my next cast on, because as you're working the body, you're always working twisted rib along the sides, and I think that's just, it would make the sweater go by so quickly and keep you wanting to work on it even throughout the body. And then the split hem, it looks good. I think it would just be such a fun knit. This one is lace plus fingering to equal bulky as again, and this is a 6 millimeter and 5 millimeter needle knit. Again, that is the Edgar sweater by Johanna Jerish. We are getting into some fun cable designs. So we have the Arctic Light sweater by Veronica Lindberg. Yes. This is okay, another top-down raglan, but look at this sweater. It obviously brings its own uniqueness to this pattern roundup. So this is a cable knit sweater. It has intricate detailing that is replicated throughout the entire body. And then the body has one beautiful braided cable down the center. I was going to say middle and center. Down the center, similar to the twisted loop sweater, but this one is more elegant in my opinion. I think it would look so good at like a Christmas party or a Christmas dinner. Yeah, the arms have less prominent cables down the sleeves, but it still flows, and it looks very intentional with all of the detailing in the body, and then kind of mirroring it in the arms in a less prominent way, so that way it keeps the focus on the body, but it flows with the arms. Also, bonus points for this one. Veronica, who goes by Kika, has a YouTube channel and she has in-depth tutorials for her patterns. So if you are more of a visual learner, she has a full YouTube video. I think it's recorded in a few different parts for this sweater. So that way you can buy the pattern and then follow along on YouTube. So if you've never done cables before, this would probably be a great place to start because you're getting the pattern and learning how to read the pattern, but you can pair it with the YouTube video to make sure that you're doing it right, and she can kind of teach you without being there, which is super cool. Also, Veronica's channel is so just warm. All of her videos are very, very fun to watch. I really enjoy her channel. So this would be a great sweater. It is a lace and DK held together, and it is knit on 3 and 5mm needles. I believe she also said in her YouTube video that you can just do a DK weight by itself, but the mohair, lace mohair, would kind of soften the cables. So that is the Arctic Light sweater. Last is the Storm sweater by Petite Knit. You know, I had to include this sweater. It was just released, I think, less than a week ago, and it's so good. So this is a drop shoulder design that starts with the back yoke worked back and forth, and then you pick up shoulder stitches for the front yoke, similar to all of the other drop shoulder designs we've mentioned, and then you join in the body and do the sleeves. So there are 4 different texture patterns worked in a repeat. So you have like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's similar to her Ingrid sweater, but in the Ingrid sweater, a lot of people I know that knit it, there was a part that kind of cinched in weird just because of the way that the pattern, that different texture pattern worked. And this one doesn't have that at all. Most of the shaping is done just with purl and knit stitches and all the different textures. Ah, I want to knit this one so bad. It is so pretty. I think the 4 different textures would keep you interested in knitting it, and I feel like it would go by so quick. I think these patterns that have the different texture repeats give you that effect of like a cable knit pattern, but without having cables. Like it gives you that same intricate detailing, but it keeps you very interested throughout. So this is, you know, I had to include this one. This is a DK weight pattern worked on 4mm needles, and it is brand new. And that is our 10th sweater. I hope you found a sweater on this list that you feel excited and would like to cast on. They will all be linked down below in a bundle and found on Ravelry. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.